Alright, so this is going to be part 9 to What If Tanjiro Learned the Breath of the Moon. So with that being said, let's just roll the intro.
Bow in the presence of greatness. 'Cause right now that has forsaken us. You should be honored by my lateness. That I would even show up to this fake shit. So go ahead, go nuts, go.
Alright, so in the last video we just got done with the transitional period between arcs. So that being between the train arc and the one that we're going to do now. And in that time, Tanjiro was able to meet Kojiro's father as well as brother and try to learn more about the Dance of the Fire God, but they weren't able to, as the records that hold the past Flame Pillars information were basically destroyed by the father. So we're gonna go into the next arc. But before that happens, if you're watching this video and you like this series, please give it a like, as it really does help the series and make sure that I know that you want more videos to this series. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. It helps out the channel and I really would appreciate it. So if we could get 50 likes on this video, I would really appreciate it and it would help me make the next part. So with that being said, let's get into the actual story. We would start off with the 4 months between the time that Tanjiro meets the dad of Kojiro to the present. So like I said, there's 4 months in between, and in that time Tanjiro and the rest of the group, that being Inosuke as well as Zenitsu, would take that time to train as well as go on solo missions, gaining experience and becoming better demon slayers. One day when Tanjiro is coming back to the butterfly house, this is when he sees someone seemingly kidnapping some of the girls from there. Unbeknownst to him, this is the sound pillar Uzi Tengen, Uzi being his surname, so I'll be calling him Tengen for this series. So Tanjiro confronts him thinking that he's some sort of, I guess, evildoer, as he doesn't know why he needs these women. He tries to headbutt him because he wants him to let go of the girls there, but it misses because obviously it's a pillar. But the pillar was surprised at how fast Tanjiro was, but he doesn't say it. Tanjiro accuses him of being, well, a pervert, saying that why is he trying to kidnap, girls? And he explains that he is a former shinobi and that his name is Uzi Tengen and that he's the sound pillar, but not only that, but he's also flamboyant. This is a big part of his character if you guys haven't read the manga. He explains to Tanjiro that he needs women for his next mission, and Aoi, although she might not be strong, she's still part of the Demon Slayers, and therefore he takes her. But Tanjiro says that he'll take her place instead, and the pillar reluctantly says yes. This is when the two other characters, or the two other main characters, that being Zenitsu and Inosuke, come in, and they both join Tanjiro in this endeavor. So as they're walking away, Tanjiro asks what mission are they trying to go on. Tengen tells them that they're going to the light district, or the red light district I should say. So this is where, if you're not familiar with this kind of terminology, it refers to an area in a city in Japan where there's a lot of prostitution and things of that nature, just for those who don't quite understand the significance of it. But yeah, anyways, so that's where they're planning to go. So as this is happening, Tengen does his normal kind of, I guess, he just beats himself, and by doing so he described himself as a god, and he has this weird kind of complex similar to, I guess, Inosuke, and he's just kind of building himself up, and that's kind of within his character because he's supposed to be flamboyant. But as they're kind of doing this conversation back and forth, this is when Tengen basically says to hurry up, and he just dashes forward faster than they can perceive it, and by the time they notice where he's at, he's so far away that he's the size of a sesame seed to them, so they have to catch up with him. When they are around the general area of the light district, or the red light district, they go to this kind of inn for a little stop. This is where Tengen explains more of this plan. He says when they get there, they're gonna try to first of all find his wife. Zenitsu gets angry at this, saying that how can a guy like him get a wife? and accuses him of lying. This is when he shows him the letters that she's been sending to him. Tanjiro questions this as, if you're telling them to always, do their best and not stick out, then how are we supposed to go? And this is where Tengen says, I got a plan for that. And all three dresses are cross dresses, so they're all dressed like women. But this is easier for Tanjiro, unlike it was in the past or in the manga, because if you guys don't remember, Tanjiro still has long hair in this. Not only as a way to basically honor both, his master, the one that taught him Breath of the Moon, but also to subtly or unbeknownst to him honor the originator of both the sun and the Breath of the Moon kind of styles. So it's a lot easier for him to cross-dress, if that makes sense. So each person in the group, other than Tengen, is sold off to different houses within the red light district. So they're kind of all separated. And in this time, they all are trying to find information on Tengen's wives, I should say. Each of them are hearing some things here and there, but it's until Inosuke actually hears one of them actually bring up a certain name, that being Makino, or Makino, that being Tengen's wife, or one of them. So Inosuke senses something's wrong in the room that he's nearby, and he goes to check on it, and it's basically nearly destroyed, but there's no signs of anyone. Then he notices something in the ceiling, and he throws a bowl of, soup at it, saying that he knows someone's there, but he has no way to prove it, so he runs out of the room trying to find it. He has no luck as he tries to run through the rooms. Then we switch over to Zenitsu. So I might get this name wrong, but I'll try to pronounce it. So he finds this girl crying in this room, and he goes to, comfort her, asking her what's wrong. And this is when the, main girl of the house comes in. And this name is going to be really hard to pronounce, but I'll try my best to do so. It's Warabihime. But yeah, I'll put it on screen so you guys see how it's said, I guess. But for the sake of this video, I'll only be calling her Hime. So this turns out that Hime is a demon, as Zenitsu could hear the sound of a demon coming from her, and this kind of gives him chills noticing this. And Hime gets angry at Zenitsu for barging into this room, and he tells her that he only went in there because he heard someone crying. And this is where Hime basically starts ridiculing the girl that was crying, and Zenitsu just grabs her arm and tells her to stop. As this is done, Hime just gets disgusted by Zenitsu, who at this time is still cross-dressing. She calls him ugly and throws him through several rooms, knocking him out. She notices that he isn't dead and that he went on the defensive right before he threw him. Knowing this, she predicts that he is a demon slayer of some kind, but she still believes that he is a woman. Later on, Tanjiro as well as Inosuke meet up with Tengen to discuss what they're going to do. Tengen informs the other two that Zenitsu isn't joining them. Obviously, Tanjiro is angry to hear this. He asks him what happened, and Tengen just says that you're alive, so that makes you the winner. Tanjiro doesn't like this and storms kind of off. He goes back to the house that he was bought from, and he wishes them their best regards as they took care of him for those few days, as Tanjiro will. It's within his nature to do so, to thank others. So I feel like he would still do this even in this scenario. We can skip ahead, and Tanjiro senses or smells really the smell of a demon nearby, and he goes in that direction. She sees Hime basically trying to strangle this woman using her clothing that obviously is part of her demon arts. After Tanjiro is noticed by Hime, they both escape from the house and go onto the streets, continuing the fight. Now this fight is quite different compared to the other demons that he's fought in the past, but the only one that is similar, I guess, would be Ruri, but with less, I guess, lethality in terms of, the strings compared to the pieces of cloth that she's using. But through their kind of, I guess, fighting, Tanjiro would find an opening to use his first form of Breath of the Moon, being able to create slashes, and the kind of chaotic crescent blades start to form from the original slash, just like all the other breath styles. With these numeral kind of slashes coming through, it starts to tear away at the surrounding cloth around her, and it's able to cut down the piece of cloth that was holding the older woman from before. At the same time as this happening, Tengen basically finds one of his wives that was nearly killed by Hime. So Tanjiro continues to fight Hime, but there is a slight disadvantage to this fight against Tanjiro, and that's the fact that at this point in time, he has a fever. Now, just like in canon, this regulates his breathing a little bit, and it makes him a bit slower than before, but it doesn't really stop his destructive power. So, using multiple different forms of Breath of the Moon, that being the first 3, as well as the 5th, for more offensive reasons, but he also uses a newer one, well, I think is new. If I've used it in the past, I don't think I did. And this is going to be the 6th form, Perpetual Night Lonely Moon Incessant. So what this is a form that basically releases a wild barrage of crescent-shaped slashes. As you see in the picture, this is what he's going to use to basically get the cloths away from him, because although these might just seem like normal cloths, they are somewhat harder to slice normally because of the way they bend and reform to the blade shape, if that makes sense. Now, as Tanjiro's fighting Hime, this is where Inosuke actually finds out where Hime is hiding the rest of the people she's captured by going into the den of her kind of food storage. He's able to do this by dislocating his bones and being able to kind of burrow his way in there almost like a snake. After this, he's in this room in where there's a bunch of cloth hanging around, and in these cloths he sees people from all over the city as well as Zenitsu. Now, as he tries to cut one down, this is where a piece of cloth actually tries to attack him. Now, this piece of cloth is basically an extension of Hime's body. She's able to control it, and it has somewhat of a mind of its own, but not completely independent, if that makes sense, as Hime's able to see what it's seeing and control it. There, Inosuke fights the cloth and is able to cut some of the cloths out, which makes people appear from them. This is when the sound pillar, Tengen, actually comes through and helps Inosuke with the help of his 2 wives, who are also trapped in there, that being the cloth, as well as Zenitsu, who was also trapped. Zenitsu, in his unconscious state, is able to take out all the pieces of cloth super fast using his breath style. So yeah, this is gonna be the end of the video. I know this one's short, but I'm trying to get these videos out earlier to keep up with I guess demand, if that makes sense, just because lately I haven't been uploading that much, and that's really been on my part, so I'm really trying to improve on that. And yeah, like I said in the community poll, by the time this video's out, I want to try to expand my content further than it has before in the past by doing things that are not exactly animated related, but just I want to create other content, such as things that involve games, just because it's something I do and I really have a lot of opinions on a lot of this stuff that I want to talk about. I really want to make guides and theories and even lore videos on different video games that I play, and hopefully I can transition into something like that. But don't worry, I'm not gonna stop doing what ifs just for those who are worried for that. It's something that I like doing. I like telling stories, and I like I don't know, talking, if that makes sense. I know that might sound weird, but it generally is the truth. So yeah, I hope you guys continue watching my content even if I change a bit in the future. So with that being said, let's get into the Patreon shoutouts. So to join Patreon, all you have to do is go to patreon.com/ComicSansTheMan, or you could click the link in the description. It only takes $1 to support me, and there you get my videos early and you have a chance to get a drawing from me. But yeah, I can't show this month's drawing obviously until next month, but when next month does happen, you'll be able to see it clear, and maybe that'll convince you to join. So that being said, let's get into the actual shoutouts. So in our gold tier, we have Dwayne, Fenn, and Lyco. Like I said before, you could join them at Comic Sans or patreon.com/ComicSansTheMan, or you could click the link in the description. It does help, but it's not necessary. So with that being said, let's get into the video. So yeah.